Welcome to a very special episode of Krypton's Legacy, a Superman podcast and vidcast. It's special in the sense that it's going to be a cold open, probably no fanciful music. We just want to get this out there, put it up, and get reactions because the main topic of conversation is our reaction and discussion to the first actual teaser trailer for Superman from director James Gunn. It is the official 100% launch of James Gunn's DCU. Creature Commandos is sort of like the soft open, if you will, for the DCU. But Superman is, of course, the big. James Gunn calls Creature Commandos an appetizer. This is the main course, is Superman. And we got our first teaser trailer. Although, I mean, I know why they call it a teaser trailer because it's the first one, but really it's 2 minutes and 20 seconds long. It's a trailer. But Hollywood likes to make that distinction, so we'll let them make that distinction. But for me, I just call it a trailer because that's what it is. What we got the other day, that was 30 seconds, that to me is a teaser, but I digress. Either way, when it's good, who cares what they call it?
Right.
And this was good, so who cares what they want to call it? But before we get to the trailer reaction, I want to introduce a longtime friend and a fellow podcaster, and he's co-hosting with me today, Sam Rizzo. Sam, how's it going?
Oh, thanks, Adam. Thank you for that nice intro. And it's been good, man. It's like Christmas here. It's like Christmas for us Superman fans today.
Because it's Christmas in a couple of days, and figuratively. But yeah. Thank you, James Gunn. I was ready. We were ready. We had recorded our Christmas episode. We were going to close down, and then you announced that on the 19th, the trailer was coming. So I'm like, I guess I'm not closing down yet for the holidays. So this will be this is the extra holiday. This is the extra gift under the stocking for our viewers and listeners. But Sam, before we get into the trailer, James Gunn's been making the rounds in terms of the fact that there have been last summer when he was filming, there were set visits, and some of the info from those set visits are finally starting to drop. So is there anything specific that you want to target from those before we?
Well, what I think these are from Monday, from when they did the trailer event at the Warner Brother lot. So I think this is from the Hollywood Reporter. This article from Aaron Couch. It's marked today, December 19th at 6:01 a.m. And it just covered a couple comments from James Gunn about the trailer itself that I thought were very, very interesting. One comment in particular, James Gunn says, I think when we get into the trailer, I think that what Take Me Home is all about, Gunn said, we do have some sort of battered versions of Superman at the beginning, which we'll talk about. And he equates it to our country. And he goes, I believe in the goodness of human beings, and I believe that most people in this country, despite their ideological beliefs or their politics, are doing their best to try to get by and trying to be good people, despite what it may seem like for the other side, no matter what the other side might be. This movie, I think, what he's trying to convey is it's all about hope. And it's all about optimism, and it's what I wrote on my Facebook right after seeing the trailer. It's nice to see optimism back in a Superman franchise, back in a Superman film.
Hope and optimism are tenets of the character, and they should be part of the equation always when you're making a Superman property, be it comic book, film, television, what have you. So I agree with Gunn's statements there. Now, that's not to say you can't put him in a world that is, morally compromised, let's say. But you could put him in that world, but he doesn't have to be morally compromised.
Right. Right. And we've said it for years. You can make the world around Superman dark, but you can't make him innately a dark character or a tragic character. I mean, that's what they were trying to do with the sequel to Superman Returns. If you go and read that script was god awful. I mean,
well, I think it was a treatment, but it would have been horrendous.
Yes.
It was based on the idea, which was briefly, without getting on the
on that tangent. Yeah.
The idea was Brainiac was going to possess, if you will, Jason, and then would leave Superman with the moral dilemma of the only way to stop Brainiac would be to, how can I put this without getting stricken or something on YouTube, to end the existence of Jason and Brainiac all in one fell swoop. Which, I mean, you can extrapolate what that means. I don't think anybody wants to see that or wanted to see that.
Yeah, no, that would have been bad. That would have been really bad.
Snap before the next snap, if you catch my drift. Let's not do that
again. So, anything else from this article? Not really. They talk about, like, Rachel Brosnahan talks about seeing David Cornsweet in the suit after she worked with Clark, David Cornsweet as Clark for a long time, and then when she first saw him, like, in the suit, she walked up behind him and go, "You're effing Superman. This is crazy." That's what she said. Let's see what else. Nicholas Hoult had an interesting comment about Lex Luthor, that he goes, even though you perhaps don't agree with Lex's process, there's an element where you can understand on some levels where he's coming from and why perhaps what he's pushing as his ideology is perhaps better for humanity. That goes back to, I think his Lex, is going to be right from the Lex Luthor Man of Steel graphic novel. Like, I really think they're going to push that one home. Like, there's a lot of...
I think it'll be a combination of things. I think it'll be a combination of that and All-Star, where he gets a little bit more sciencey.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be. I think it'll be a hybrid of the businessman and tycoon Lex, but also the mad scientist Lex. So I think it'll be a hybrid.
Oh, I got chills seeing him in the trailer.
Because they sort of tried that in the last iteration of the character, but we had a performer and a script that required him to be Mark Zuckerberg meets Edward Nygma, which is not Lex Luthor. But I think if the script is good and the material is good, what they're going for is a hybrid of mad scientist Lex and businessman Lex.
So you want to get into the trailer?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All I can say with any level of articulation is, wow. That is in a 2-minute and 20-second time frame. That is pretty much everything I want in a Superman movie. And maybe it'll help if I just can sort of read what I wrote on my Facebook, because that's the shortest way I can articulate it, and then we'll go through some actual scenes from the thing. But
it's funny because I was watching Chris Gore and his co-host and their live stream Film Threat this morning when the trailer came out, and as I'm watching it and it ended, like, I recorded my reaction. I don't know if I want to put it up because it was more like, wow, shock than anything.
So here's basically what I wrote. Visually stunning, beautiful, bright, colorful, action-packed, even with very little dialogue in the teaser. Scenes between Superman and Krypto, Clark and his father, Jonathan Kent, and Superman and Lois add an emotional punch. Superman is back.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
That's as simple and concise as I can put it.
Mhm.
What about you, Sam? Is there anything
You know
you
what?
know?
I love that David Cornsweet's Clark Kent looks completely different than his Superman. Like,
Yes,
I love that aesthetic. I love, like, when you see him walking in between the people and getting to his desk and looking back at Jimmy and Lois in the trailer, it just evokes the all-star Superman, all-star Clark Kent.
exactly. And specifically, there was one moment that really got me with that. So he's walking through the street and he enters the Daily Planet. As he's the far out shot of as he's walking in the office, before he crosses paths with Lois, or before they close up on that, he's hunched. But
Mhm.
it's not just because Christopher Reeve slouched and hunched, but the way this looked, the way it was shot, literally looked like James Gunn pulled the page out of All Star Superman and then transplanted it back on the screen, like it was
Right.
right out of All Star Superman.
Absolutely. And like, there was, and we'll talk about another scene coming up, but like there's a lot from All-Star Superman. Like, there is like a ton from All-Star Superman in this trailer. So, but
Um, I liked the even the way it starts with we see Superman crash into the Arctic snow,
right.
and he's beaten and he's a little bloody, and he's in pain, like he's in pain, and then that's when you get those flashes of sort of Clark going, coming on the street and then going through the data plan office. Uh, and then it sort of flashes back to, I guess, what I assume they're trying to evoke is Superman's looking back on his life experiences up to this point. Whether that actually happens in the course of the movie that way, who knows? But that's the way they sort of orchestrated it for the trailer. And then he whistles, and barreling in, faster than a snowball should go is little Krypton. Now, full disclosure, I am not a how can I
You're not a
I
dog person?
I
Don't
hope
say
this
it.
doesn't come
Don't
off.
say it.
No, no, I I'm not. I wouldn't classify myself as a dog person. The reason why is I have a fear of dogs to the point of if remember how Batman's fear of bats led him to be Batman.
Yes.
I would be dog man. That's where my fear of dogs is. However, there are three dogs that I actually enjoy more so tolerate. And that is my brother's dog, because I have no choice, because it's part of the like it comes with the package when they come over for the holidays or to visit. The dog comes too, so I had to get used to that dog. Um, um, my uncle back when I was a kid had a dog that I used to. This was before my fear kicked in. That I used to play wrestle with. That I love that dog, and now Crypto.
He's a distant third.
So I don't know about the ranking, but I mean, if it was a real dog, I'd probably put him first because he's Crypto. But
Mhm.
but I like Crypto, and to the point where he was so adorable and so cute that when next year's Christmas rolls around, if there is a plush figure of Crypto that looks like I will probably buy it. That's how much I like Crypto.
Okay.
But and the fact that it like David Corenswet Superman says, "Home, take me home."
Mhm.
Like there's such um, even the performance, the delivery of that line. You felt the emotion between the two, like Crypto barking at him and looking at him,
Mhm.
and him saying that, and then him dragging him through the snow to get him, presumably back to the fortress. I think that's where he's taking him. Um, it was such an amazing moment, like the loyalty between the dog and his friend slash owner. I mean, it just
Yeah,
It
it's a
resonates on the
great
screen. And
moment.
again, this is coming from somebody that is not going to surround himself in a group of dogs.
Right.
So if I'm affected by that moment, I'm assuming for somebody that like you that has dogs and you
Three.
know and is not afraid of them and it's part of your family. I imagine that moment hit just as hard, if not harder, for you.
Oh, you know what? I started tearing up when Crypto licked him and Superman's like, take me home. And would my dogs do that for me? I don't think so. But no, it was a great moment. Very, very sweet moment. And do you think Crypto's going to be the new Rocket Raccoon, even though he's not going to talk?
Uh, I think so. I think people are gonna have that reaction to him.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. You know what? It was great seeing the rest of the Daily Planet crew, especially in yesterday's teaser trailer. Seeing Jimmy Olsen, who looks like Jimmy Olsen. Yes, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Seeing Rachel Brosnahan as Lois, she was fantastic. She looks fantastic in the role.
What's great about that is that brief interaction at the beginning where like she
Mhm.
looks at him and he looks back, but he's not like I'm assuming he's putting on the Clark Kent persona.
Right.
When he looks back at her, he's not even looking at her. It's like he's looking like, where, like, what am I doing here? Where am I going? Like, it's that confused. Like, what the hell is going on? Here kind of look.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things in this trailer that really hit home for me, optimistic wise, was seeing Superman doing Superman things.
Yes.
That we didn't see in 3 films with Henry Cavill. Yeah. Him saving that little girl was amazing. That was such an amazing scene.
Yeah. And him sort of, that scene was great. And that use of slow-mo, and no, the previous director that whose films feature Superman did not invent slow-mo just to quell that stupidity.
Are you serious? He didn't invent slow-mo?
Apparently he invented a lot. He invented filmmaking, apparently, according to these people. But anyway, that scene saving the little girl. But even like you see how he inspires like his relationship with the people, where the kid has the Superman flag, and there's a scene where he's standing in front of those people in the midst of, I don't know what he's confronting, but like he's just amongst the people and is not acting like a let's say a deity. Whereas
right,
the last iteration, people are looking up and trying to touch him while he's hovering in the air. And there's the scene where in Mexico or wherever, where the people are all crawling around him trying to touch him, and he looks like he wants to be nowhere near there, like he just wants to get out of there.
Yeah.
He looks like he's disgusted. I say it's the constipated Kryptonian era of Superman, but that's just me. So there's none of that here, and I love it because Superman should want to be amongst the people. If you have a Superman that behaves like he's above humanity or a deity, you've gotten it wrong. That's not how he sees himself. Now, people may see him that way, but that's not how he sees himself, and that's not how he behaves.
Right.
And this trailer emphasizes that this is a man of the people.
Well, the brief scene we got with him and Jonathan, where he hugs his dad. We didn't get that in Man of Steel. Did we get that? Did we get
What we got was his father saying, when he asked, "Should I have let those kids die in the bus?" And his father responded with, "I don't know, maybe."
Yeah, I liked that scene. Really, and again, that evokes Clark looks right out of All-Star Superman. Like,
well, that scene is actually also in the scene with Jonathan and Clark at the fence, with his their arms over each other. And that is also in Superman for All Seasons, which was fantastic.
Okay.
It gets right out of Superman for All Seasons.
Yeah, it was. I'm trying to think what else from the trailer. Well, let's talk about Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner.
If we just say Superman is fighting a kaiju monster,
Yeah,
that's
Godzilla.
Godzilla. But hold on a minute. That's something you actually see if you read Superman comics.
Uh-huh.
You've never seen that in a Superman movie before.
Nope.
Doomsday notwithstanding, because Doomsday is part of the, the Death of Superman storyline. But
would you consider him a kaiju?
no, I would. The on-screen
Uh-huh.
iteration, I consider that a blob of crap, is what I consider. But no, in past Superman movies, it's always Lex and Zod, Lex and Zod, Lex and Zod. Oh, wait a minute, we have Nuclear Man, Lex and Zod, and it's like, I understand Lex has to be there because he's Superman's arch nemesis. He's the Lex. He's Superman's Joker, right? This is what it is. So Lex is going to be there, but to see Superman fighting something else,
yeah, something different for a change. Yeah,
it's so refreshing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks amazing. It looks so cool.
And let's keep in mind that there's still 7 months of to go. So they're going to be touching up visual effects. Usually, it's right up until shortly up until release. But when you give the VFX people enough time and proper working conditions, this is the kind of stuff that they can put out.
And how about the yellow S on the cape? Let's talk about that.
And so beautiful. And
it's great that it's back. Thank God it's back.
Can't do it with CGI. We can't do it with that bull.
The last shot in the trailer when Lois takes Superman's hand and they're looking out of the window there, and you get that shimmer in the cape with the yellow S behind it. I love that shot. That was such a great shot.
It's been missing.
It's been missing.
And look, you touched on it, like the interactions between Superman and Lois, like when they're hovering in the air about to kiss. Mm-hmm. That's pulled right out of a more recent comic. Okay. Somebody put a side by side on I think it was Twitter of the comic picture, and then but there's also some smoochy time between Superman and I noticed in quick shots. And one interesting thing that I noticed was he had his glasses off, but he was in a white kind of shirt. So does Lois know?
I think James Gunn came out and said she knows.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now I'm cool with that. Here's my caveat. As long as there's not a scene where he's dressed as Superman at the Kent farm, and there's cop cars bringing Lois to the Kent farm, and as she exits the cop car and walks towards Superman, she yells out, "Clark!" in here. That's not okay. But if she and helps him maintain the secret, I'm good with that. See the difference?
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
So long and short, I'm okay with her knowing the secret and being part of helping him hide it from the rest of the world.
Yeah, I agree. I think the last couple iterations, Man of Steel and Superman and Lois, and now this, I think her being part of it and helping him craft the Clark Kent Bumblebee persona and his Superman persona, I think is gonna work. I think.
You mentioned before Hawkgirl and also Mr. Terrific and Green Lantern. They all look fantastic. Especially Hawkgirl and Mr. Terrific. Like Hawkgirl, the way her mini little scene. I'm like
2 seconds. 2 seconds.
I need more of this. But again, here's the difference. I trust James Gunn because recently he did an interview where he's saying, it's not just cameo for the sake of cameo. They serve Superman's story. That's what it should be. We don't need to throw in a character just because, hey, let's show them the next man or next movie up, next man up. That's not the way James Gunn is proceeding with this thing. Now, do I think Hawkgirl is going to be part of a potential future Justice League movie? Yes, but that's not the immediate reason for her being there right now. Same with Mr. Terrific. Same with Green Lantern. We know actually that Nathan Fillion is going to carry forward because it was just announced, I think, in the same article you're talking about, that he will show up in the Lantern series. So, but it's not. What I'm saying is, it's not like where the MCU kind of makes a film for the sake of let's set up the next thing. That's not what James Gunn. That's not James Gunn's ulterior motive here. His ulterior motive is story first. It has whoever's in these movies has to serve that particular story. If it leads to something else, great. But that's not the main meat and potatoes of why we're putting them in there. So I like the look of all three characters. And I assume they're assisting Superman fighting that kaiju. That's what I assume, but I could be wrong. And I just love the one of the things we didn't talk about was two things: the color palette. Do you know how nice it is to see color in a Superman movie again?
Thank God, color. Yeah, red. The reds are red. The blues are blue.
I love like when we're in the Arctic, you really see the blue of the blue sky. That's accentuated, and I love it because it feels like a comic book coloring. Like the coloring inside of a comic book, that's what it feels like. Even yesterday, or when they released that 30-second teaser for the teaser, and it opened, the first two shots are the Daily Planet building with the globe on it, and then the core Daily Planet crew, looking at their TV screen in the boat. That felt, when I saw those two images, one after the other, it felt like opening the pages of a Superman comic.
It did.
I love the colors. The red is red, like you said. The blue is blue. The sunlight is, when you see sunlight, it's nice and bright.
Oh, him flying through the Arctic, like that was amazing with the cape. Like that was so cool.
The colors make a big it elevates your mood.
Oh yeah.
Like it puts you in the right headspace for a Superman movie.
And we didn't even talk about the most important thing about yesterday and today's trailer.
Music.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Like, listen, I'm cool if somebody wants to make another Superman theme. Like, and it works for certain things. Like the Superboy series had its own theme, and it worked for that.
You just had to go there, didn't you?
You were a big proponent for that series, and so you gave me props.
Okay. I was a big proponent of the show.
Lois and Clark had its own theme, and it worked for that. Superman and Lois had its own theme, and it worked for that.
Superman and Lois theme was fantastic. Yeah. An original piece.
The animated series had its own theme, and it worked.
Oh, that's great. That one was great.
But listen to me now. All those themes can be well and good, and they're all worked for their particular iteration. But to me, and to many other people out there, when they hear any variation of that John Williams theme, no matter where they are, whether it's a football game, a NASCAR race, a hockey game, a church choir, for God's sake, when they hear that music and they instantly know it's Superman. That theme is synonymous with the character.
Oh, absolutely.
And these two pieces of a video that we've gotten today and yesterday show that you can remix it, you can rework it, and it works, even if the iteration that it is presented with is not Richard Donner and Christopher Reeve.
Right.
Because it's simply synonymous with Superman.
It's the character. It's part of the character. It's woven into the character.
And to me, it's fine if you want to try to create a new theme, but in this case, like James Gunn, if you want to use it, by all means use it, because every Bond movie at some point uses the Bond theme. Every Indiana Jones movie uses the Indiana Jones theme, and nobody ever complains.
No.
So why should it be any different for Superman? It shouldn't, is the answer.
Well, it's like what you said, rendition-wise. Like yesterday, we got a very Hans Zimmer mixed with John Williams, very almost, I don't want to say like church-like sounding theme.
They played that at Go often, actually, as a matter of fact.
It was pretty. It was pretty cool. It was like with the choir, that choir like humming. That was so cool. And then today we get the heavy. I don't want to say heavy metal, but more rock version with the guitar. Yeah,
it also worked.
Yeah, but like you said, I think when you think of Superman, like I'm not knocking the Hans Zimmer theme, but like after dealing with the Dark Knight with the drums. And then Man of Steel with the drums, and now
it all sounded the same. Like
it did.
Listen, it sounded the music sounded nice, like it sounded beautiful. But if you listen to the Man of Steel soundtrack, after about 3 tracks, it sounds like you're listening to the same thing, the same song, the same track on a loop for an hour and a half.
I do love the track, What Are You Gonna Do When You're Not Saving the World? That I think is one of the best tracks on that Man of Steel.
Random event, it's like I don't sit there and think, oh my god, it's Superman. You know what I mean? Like
it doesn't evoke Superman, but it's probably the highlight on that score though.
If they play that at a Chicago Bears game,
not many people are gonna be there.
Let's say the 12 that are there.
The 12.
They won't realize that was a Superman theme, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Again, it's a good theme.
Yeah.
But it doesn't scream Superman.
No, it doesn't scream. It's more Batman-ish than Superman.
Which is my issue with that iteration of the DCU. It was let's put Superman through a Batman lens, through Nolan's Batman lens.
Right.
And it didn't work for me.
Right. And I think the biggest takeaway from what Man of Steel did and this is doing is this is embracing the 60s and 70s and even the 80s Silver Age comics. That's what it's doing.
It's embracing the comic book.
Yeah.
Like there is an era of
very cosmic. Like that's what it looks like. Very cosmic Superman.
Personality, right? Like
yeah.
You want the world that we're living in to feel like it's the world we're living in. Like in the sense of when I go watch that movie, I think James Gunn wants me to sit there and believe that this is actually happening. But at the same time, he's not saying, well, what if Superman crash landed on Earth like the real world? What does that look like? It's not like he's got a dog that wears a cape and presumably flies. I mean, we didn't see him flying, but I presume he flies.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm so, like, last time I checked, yesterday when I was out, I didn't see a dog wearing a cape flying around. So it's not trying to be the real world. It is. This is a comic book story. We're embracing the comic book. We're embracing all that Superman entails. We're not ashamed that this is a comic book property.
Right.
And I love that.
And I think it's appropriate what you tweeted out earlier. Like the era of Cavill, Snyder, and Nolan is over.
Nice about that, but you get, but yeah,
It's over, you know.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
now we have the Gunn era, the David Cornsweet era as Superman, and let's see what they do with it. And the 2 minutes and 20 something seconds we got this morning, where I think really hit home that this is not going to be a
It's not that.
downer
It's not
Superman.
the teaser trailer did an effective job of saying this is different.
This is completely different than what has come before. And I would even say completely different than what Superman and Lois presented to us, which was just as, I think, what Superman and Lois did on television for the character humanized him.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to humanize him even more, I think.
Yeah.
So between the score, between David Cornsweet's look as Superman, Rachel Brosnahan, the little we saw her, Nicholas Hoult as Lex he looks terrifying. He looks really, really good.
He's looking out the window, presumably as Superman.
Yeah.
And he turns around, and if looks could kill, Superman.
Oh yeah.
Right then and there.
Yeah, he looked amazing, and
it's almost like he's disgusted with Superman's presence. And
that's what I loved about that graphic novel, Man of Steel, Lex Luthor, Man of Steel. The first couple pages, they talk about his hatred for Superman and how the humanity has just relied on him, and it's like, why are we relying on this alien when here we could better ourselves? We could look inward to our humanity, and we don't need this guy flying around in a cape. Yeah, I think that's the motivation for his Lex.
I don't know what's going on, but where you see him with the gun,
yeah,
there's got a little bit of craziness,
yeah,
like this guy can snap at any moment.
He's off the wall.
Yeah, but it's not. Again, it's not Mark Zuckerberg meets the Riddler.
Please, no Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor. Yes, no.
But it's just like I'm just, as I said off the top, this in 2 minutes and 20 seconds, this teaser exceeded my expectations. I didn't think we were going to get all this. It exceeded my expectations.
Yeah. Are you worried at all? Like just the overstuffing of all these different characters into this trailer? Do you think it should have been more Superman and Lois and
no, and I'll tell you why. Because their appearances were so brief.
Yeah.
That the focus was still on the majority of the trailer still featured Superman, Lois, and Lex.
Mm-hmm.
Like we literally got split seconds of the other three characters.
Right.
And that's it. And again, and another reason I'm not worried is James Gunn has said that, well, several things, but two things, that this is already a lived-in DC universe, so these people exist. But his reassurance that they are here, these three characters, Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, and Green Lantern, and also Metamorpho, they are here to serve Clark Kent and Superman's story. They are not here to set up a Hawkgirl movie, a Green Lantern movie, Mr. Terrific movie, a Metamorpho movie. That's the difference.
Right.
So, for example, and I'm not poo-pooing the MCU because they've done a lot of good things, but Scarlett Johansson in Iron Man 2 was solely there to set up the Avengers.
Right.
And that's it. Like,
yes.
If you take her out of it, by and large, that movie isn't changed. So she was only there to set up the Avengers.
Right.
That's the difference. Like, same with Robert Downey Jr.'s cameo at the end of The Incredible Hulk. The only reason that's there is to set up the event in the Avengers. It doesn't serve the Incredible Hulk story.
No.
So that's the difference. And right now, I believe James Gunn when he says that. Like, if you look at Guardians of the Galaxy, even with the team aspect, right? If you look at Guardians, largely those three movies are about mostly the story of two characters, Peter Quill and Rocket Raccoon.
Right.
The other characters serve their generic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think what I remember telling you and Isaac all those years ago, how the hell are they going to make a raccoon and a tree interesting? And he did.
And listen, I'll take it back. When I saw that trailer, I thought this is going to be the MCU's first bomb.
Right.
But who in the hell go there, sit in the theater, and take a talking raccoon and a talking tree seriously? And James Gunn did it. And then there was those scenes with Groot where he sacrifices himself. Yeah, he grows back, but at that time we didn't know that. Mm-hmm. I think it was the first one. He sacrifices himself. I was tearing up over a goddamn fucking tree.
Me too. Too.
If he did that for a tree and a raccoon, imagine what he's going to do for one of my top two favorite characters on the fiction.
Oh, you're going to bring some Kleenex with you on July 11th.
I may have some in my pocket. So, it's like, I like the guy, at least in terms of critically. So there's three Guardians movies. The Guardian Special, that's 4. The Suicide Squad, that's 5, and Peacemaker is 6. 6 previous, and now, Creature Commando, 7. 7 previous comic book properties. They've all been critical successes. Peacemaker was a hit on streaming. Every single episode so far of Creature Commandos has debuted number 2 on HBO Max. And every one of his films, except for The Suicide Squad, was a box office smash. And the only reason why The Suicide Squad wasn't a success box office wise, because it was in the midst of COVID and released day and date on streaming.
Right.
That's the only reason.
Right.
So now, why? Me as a fan, I've got no reason not to trust this guy. And now he showed me that 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, he
you could say this is hyperbole, but I don't care. At this point, I'm not averse to upsetting people. I had more fun in that 2 minutes and 20 seconds than I did 8.5 hours, or however long it is, 9, of Zack Snyder's DC trilogy. I'm sorry, but
can you throw Superman Returns in there too?
And I even like Superman Returns more than most. But yeah, just 2 minutes and 20 seconds was still better than all of that.
I mean, it felt like a Superman movie. It felt like a Superman trailer. Excuse me. And it got me pumped. It got me so pumped, and it's nice to see them embrace the optimistic side of the character and him not be at arm's length like we talked earlier with humanity, because Superman, like, he is the most human superhero out of everyone. He is the example of what we as human beings strive to be. Like, we want to be strong. We want to be like him. Like, he is the example. He is the hope. And they talked about hope, and they talked about being a beacon in the DCEU. We never got to see it. And in this 2 minutes and 20 something seconds, we got to see him in action, like doing Superman things that we should have seen in those films, And I like the duality between Clark and Superman. And I've always felt like that's been missing from the Superman character in the film franchise. We haven't really seen that since 1978 with Chris Reeve. And I think Clark being the 3 different characters, being Kal-El, Clark Kent, and Superman, I think we're going to see that in this film. And I think exactly what James Gunn has said, we're going to focus more on the man than on the super aspect. So I think it's important. And like I was talking on another podcast the other day about
Look at you podcasting around.
I've been doing the podcast rounds, but talking about Superman and Lois and that series and how they made him connect to humanity, which has been missing from the character, making him a father, showing a completely different aspect of the character that we've never seen before. But now with James Gunn and this version of Superman, showing us a Superman that's already established, already in action, I think is going to, in a world that's views being good as almost like a joke. Yeah. Like, oh, it's a joke to be honest and be good and be a Boy Scout. I think that's where the Superman's going to shine, is, in a world where like we have become so down on ourselves as humans, I think this movie's really going to give us something to look forward to.
I think the world needs this movie right now. I think
yes.
I think timing is everything. Sometimes with these movies, like for example, in 2002, the world needed that Spider-Man movie.
Right.
In 2005, the world was aching for a more serious, darker tone, and that's what the Dark Knight or Batman Begins and the Dark Knight trilogy provided. And then 2012, the Avengers, brought back the fun and the bombastic fun of it all. And I think it's kind of been hit and miss, dark and light lately. But I think in the state the world is now, the world needs a movie like this. The world needs Superman again, and I think the timing is right.
Yeah, the world needs some light and some goodness and an example of what it means to be a hero and what it means for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. It was said perfectly at the end of Superman and Lois. That's the legacy of Superman.
Yeah. So look, I think we've said everything we can. I mean, we probably could say more, but
there was one thing though that I wanted to point out that I thought was really interesting. Going back to the Fortress of Solitude, there's a shot of Superman holding one of his guards' hands. Yes. Did you see that? That was really cool. That was completely out of All-Star Superman.
Yeah, I think
that was so cool.
If I'm correct, but I could be wrong. Or how you pronounce it. Notice there were no polar bears in the Fortress.
Really, no polar bears?
John P. You, what a fool! But polar bears. Superman's there. What the hell does he need polar bears? Anyway, the stupidity that has surrounded this franchise over the years.
Oh God, yeah.
All I gotta say, look, could 7 months come around and this movie be a disaster? Sure, that's a possibility, but I doubt it. I don't think it will, based on what we've seen so far.
No, I don't think so.
This isn't even a story trailer.
Right.
This is to set the mood. This is the foreplay. I call it the foreplay trailer. That's what this is.
Foreplay trailer.
And it worked because I'm excited. Not in that way, but I'm excited. So the metaphor still works. But yeah, this is the foreplay trailer. We haven't even. All Superman said was, "Home, take me home." The only dialogue we heard was from the dog. And then look, so I don't think it's. So could it be terrible? Sure. I doubt it. But just again, that having that robot there is something that in the movies, at least, we've seen in the cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it, but we've never seen in the movies. This is Crypto being there, the robot,
Right.
that signifies, hey, wait a minute, this is not Christopher Reeve redo.
No.
This is not the DCEU. This is different. And that's one of the selling points that the trailer had to make. And I think it made it in spades.
I agree with you. I think it took elements from the Donnerverse and, like I said, the 70s and 80s versions of the character, the Silver Age with Kurt Swan era, and took things and made them work and blended it all together, kind of like what Superman and Lois did. It took the 86 years of Superman and distilled it through a crucible, but through a Man of Steel aesthetic.
And the cool thing is, Superman and Lois is different in the sense that they're focused on him being a father.
Exactly.
That
exactly.
is not the focus of this.
Right.
At least not yet. Maybe, hopefully, if the DCU succeeds down the line, maybe we will get a little jump running around with the prick Damian Wayne, and they can have a movie of their own. And I call him. I've grown to like Damian. And James Gunn. No, I'm not saying he's going to watch this, but on the off chance he sees this, he's going to hear my comment about the dog at the beginning. He's going to hear my comment about Damien and Jean, and he's probably going to announce a Super Sons movie, and probably going to have Ace the Bat Hound and Krypto in there, just to make me get used to the dog. That's what James Gunn's going to do, because he'd probably get a kick out of that. But if he does, I'll grin and bear it and watch the movie and probably enjoy it. But I digress. But so listen, I'm excited. My only question is, we're probably going to get another, a full story trailer at the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, can it be the Super Bowl already? We're just here.
Yeah, come on.
I want more.
Come on.
I don't care about the game. I don't care who plays. Bane could come and destroy the stadium. I don't care. As long as I see the trailer.
Well, I'm sold. I'm very excited. I'm debating on posting my initial reaction after seeing the trailer this morning, because that, like I said, my reaction was 2 words: wow, and that was different. That was so different.
It's a Superman trailer, and we're excited when it's 2 minutes and 20 seconds long, and we go near an hour. So, folks, the actual, listen, people are going to get upset. I don't care. Actual Superman fans, I'm talking to you. Enjoy this. Get excited. Superman back.
I've been a lifelong Superman fan, and the tone, the music, the action, the way these characters looked, like what you said, Adam, they stepped right out of All-Star Superman or Superman for All Seasons. I'm excited, and I'm excited that it's in the hands of James Gunn and somebody who loves the character and wrote the script and shot the movie and is in post-production and just has his heart and soul in this thing. And I'm excited. I'm so excited.
The character, you really can.
Oh yeah.
Now, all right, Sam. We've gushed over this long enough. Let's wrap it up.
All right.
Okay, Sam. As always, a pleasure to have you.
Adam, thank you for having me on. It was awesome.
These extended hiatuses are long gone now. Superman's back. You got to come on more.
Absolutely.
And, in the meantime, while they're waiting for your next appearance on the show, where can they track you down on social media?
You know what? I'm developing that podcast, the Rizzo Project, where I'm going to have friends and family and different digital content creators on and talk about what they're promoting. So it's going to be more of a friends and podcast talking about what they're up to. I'm going to occasionally have some interviews with some cast members from different Superman projects. I'm going to have hopefully you come on and a couple other friends, and I'm working on that. I think I have 4 episodes in the can right now. I want to have about 10 before I start releasing them. All right. And it's just I know we did 1. I know you're on 1, so we have 1 done. Yeah. So So yeah, and I think I have Aaron Price, who's working on the Superman 4 stuff on another one. He's really great. We really get into Superman 4. So, but other than that, that's you could find me on Instagram at Sam J Rizzo, on Facebook at Sam J Rizzo, and on Facebook there's the Rizzo Project page. So go and sign up for when the episodes drop.
Fantastic. And if you want to find me, you can on Twitter. I will never call it X, at Adam_Fan. We also have a Facebook group for the podcast network. It'll be in the description below. Click that. I will add you, and we can continue the conversation there if you so choose. But remember, Superman is forever. From the first time we see Krypto barrel through the snow and save him to the last. So long, everybody.
So long, everybody.